And I'm back with another plushie commission, and this time it's another Rainbow High doll. Today I'll be making Bella Parker, and her outfit will be mostly her first one with the pink leather jacket from her second outfit. Also, let's take a look at her eyes. I am so glad I went cray-cray on the mica powder for these, because that sparkle is just, delicious. Look at that. Look how it sparkles in the light. Now with the body assembled, we're going to start on her skirt first. However, I did have to take some creative license because her skirt is made from the same pink tweed fabric as her jacket. And I was going to use actual pink tweed, but when I saw how much it was per yard no matter where I went, and considered the amount I needed would be little to no longer than a Subway sandwich, I decided it just wasn't worth it. So the client and I elected to go with this cute pink houndstooth felt instead. I cut my pattern piece for the skirt out of the pink houndstooth felt, but I also cut a piece of white felt out of the same pattern to line the underside of the skirt because the houndstooth felt is so thin you can almost see through it. Here's a comparison right here. That's my one gripe with this felt, otherwise it's great. And to save myself some time and shoulder pain, I machine sewed them together instead of hand sewing them. Now I did have to hand sew on the trim at both edges since the pieces were too thin for me to machine sew on, otherwise I would have. And now I get to do one of my favorite things, add some sparkles! I love me a good excuse to go through my sequin stash. I made Bella's black sequin belt out of, you guessed it, actual black sequin. Except the sequin pieces I used were a few sizes larger than the sequin on the original doll, so I'm not hand sewing sequin for 5 ever. Plus it looks more appropriately scaled for the size of the doll. So while I'm here, quick question for the comments, who is your favorite Rainbow High character? And who's your favorite Shadow High character? For Rainbow High, this is only counting the characters that we've seen on screen and actually had enough time to spend with them to get to know them as people and, you know, what their personality's like. I gotta go with my girl Sunny, the queen of kawaii, and so joyful and loving. She's so sweet. I love her. We need more representation of black girls that are just balls of sunshine that are like Pinkie Pie given human form. And in that same vein, Phaedra Westward is my second favorite. She's from Pacific Coast High and she is so funny. She is an absolute delight. She's slightly zany, kind of loud, and very overdramatic. As for Shadow High, it's a tie between Heather Grayson and Chanel Onyx. I love Heather's style, she reminds me of myself, and she's actually the first Rainbow/Shadow High doll that I ever got. And Chanel, I love me a good diva, she's fabulous, she knows what she wants, she's a girl boss, and her outfits are bitchin'. Like, have you seen her? Come on now. And Chanel is my mom's favorite. And now for the finishing touch on the skirt, I'm going to break out my black flat back pearls. And E6000 gluing them on in place of the buttons that are on the original skirt. After the glue dried down, I sewed the skirt together and attached it to the body. And look how freaking cute it is! Ah! I love it! Now we move down to the legs, starting with her knee-high stockings. I cut out my pattern piece I drafted out of white felt and then some white strips I hand sewed onto the top edges for the folds, bands, hems of the stockings? Yeah, I'm not sure what to call that part, but you guys know what I mean. I'll probably throw a picture up in a corner somewhere circling the area that I'm talking about. And then I whip stitched the stocking pieces together and slipped them onto the legs. Now to make the shoes, we gotta start with the straps first. I drafted the pattern and cut this funky shape out of pink felt twice. And for the first time since I made Brea from the dark crystal, I got out my flat back pearls. And using more E6000 glue, I attached them to each circle space on the strap. Now if we take a look at a close-up of the shoe straps, each pearl is housed inside a gold bezel. However, I knew using gold felt for that would have been too much of a hassle, so instead, I got out my metallic gold thread and hand embroidered it around the pearls using a chain stitch. And since it's so thin, you wouldn't think it would be that noticeable, but when you see the comparison of it with and without the gold, you can definitely see the difference. I repeated the entire process for the other strap and then cut out the backs of the shoe out of the same pink felt I used for the shoe straps. And now I'm going to be assembling the shoe a bit differently from how I normally do it. Instead of sewing the pieces together and then putting them on the feet, first I sewed the straps onto the fronts of the legs, hand sewing the straps down at each end. I also hot glued them across the front for extra security. I then pinned the backs of the shoe onto the back of the feet and back stitched them down all the way around the edge of the foot and across the top edge of the back of the shoe. And bada bing bada boom, the shoes are done. And these have officially made my list of top 10 doll shoes I've ever made. They're just so cute and elegant. Just look at them. Now with the bottom half of her complete, we move on to the top half. Starting with her California Dream shirt. I cut the base shirt out of some more pink felt and a yellow circle out of the same buttercup yellow felt I used for Sunny Madison's jacket and hand sewed it down to the front. And for the California Dream logo, I found this very bright, very beautiful minty teal color of embroidery floss, which I used for the very long, very difficult, very arduous process of hand embroidering the letters. Listen, normally stuff like this is a breeze for me, but the problem is the logo is in cursive, and I hate writing in cursive. I mean, it's beautiful from a calligraphy perspective, and I do love me some calligraphy, but writing in it is just so impractical for me. Unless you're signing a check or a famous person is signing an autograph, I really don't see a point. I can write cursive, but I normally never do, and I can also read it, but only as long as it's legible. If you have the handwriting of a doctor on shrooms, no can do, buddy. No. I can read my mom's, and I can read my granny's cursive, and plenty of other people's, but I absolutely could never read my grandpa's cursive. It's some form of Elvish. I can't read it. So yeah, my beef with cursive will remain stone cold, unexpired, in the freezer until the heat death of the universe. It is the bane of my existence. Either write your cursive legibly or don't write in it at all. And there you have my hot take / rant for the day. I'm very passionate about calligraphy, and I do have a lot of opinions on certain fonts. And maybe you'll get to hear more of them somewhere down the line if somebody wants me to embroider letters in a weird font on a t-shirt for a doll or something again. Who knows? After finally emerging from the trenches of embroidering the infernal cursive, I sewed the top onto the shirt. Now time to work on something more fun and way easier, the jacket. Normally, I would use faux leather felt for this, but I couldn't find any in pink. But I did find this pink felt with faux leather texture printed onto it, so that's what I'll be using. I cut the base piece of the jacket and the collar piece out first. And then I started on the fake decorative zippers by sewing on 2 thin strips of black felt. One on one of the lapels on the collar and then the other on the base jacket piece, but I only sewed it at the bottom. And if you've seen any of my previous videos with a doll involving a jacket, you already know why. I then cut out a long strip of the pink leather printed felt for the belt strap and hand top stitched around the whole thing. And I cut out its belt buckle out of my old reliable metallic silver felt. I threaded the strap through the buckle and started hot gluing the belt across the main piece of the jacket bit by bit so it remained as straight as possible. I then created the loops that the strap is supposed to go through and sewed them on top off camera, which I didn't mean to do. I thought I pressed the record button before I started, but it turns out I didn't. Whoopsie! Now back to the collar, I cut out some tiny rectangles of the silver felt for the fake zipper teeth, and proceeded to hot glue each one on and save the rest for the jacket zipper. And while I let the collar chill out a little bit after that, I attached the main jacket piece to the body, which I was able to film a little bit of when I finally found the right angle for it for a good 20 seconds or so. And now we move on to the jacket sleeves, which is a part I was really excited for. The sleeves have a diamond quilted pattern, which I achieved by threading my sewing machine with white thread and just straight stitching my lines all across the sleeves. A very satisfying experience, if I do say so myself. There, doesn't that look lovely? I know you guys can barely see it on camera, but trust me, it is a lot more noticeable in real life. Then I cut out 2 strips of the same felt as the sleeves and hand sewed them on for the sleeve cuffs. And now we bring back my white flat back pearls because now we glue on a pearl at each point where the quilted lines intersect. But I did avoid any intersecting points too close to the top edge of the sleeve, so it would be easier to attach the arms to the body. And if you've seen any of my previous doll making videos, you know the drill by now. Hand whip stitch the sleeves and sew the sleeves to the arms and then the hand whip stitch the sleeves, sew the sleeves to the arms and add the arms to the body. There! Jesus! I was not expecting that to be such a tongue twister. I'm also recording this voiceover very late at night, so that could also be contributing to the problem of me flubbing my lines, but it is what it is. Anyways, let's finish off this side zipper, shall we? I hot glued the base of the zipper in place, avoiding the arm as much as I could, and then hot glued the rest of my silver rectangle pieces on top. And while I'm here, yes, I did attach the collar off camera before I put the arms on. Which I normally don't do because it makes attaching the arms a lot harder, but I just straight up forgot. And I finished off the jacket with some tiny silver felt studs that I hot glued onto the lapels. We're finally in the home stretch. Now we start on her hair. For the back, I did the same thing I did for Luna's hair and cut out a long single panel of pink felt with a straight bottom edge and backstitched the whole panel onto the back of the head. Next, I began carving out the wavy ends of her hair with my scissors. And for her forelocks, I cut out 2 large pieces of the pink felt and partially sewed them on at the top of the ends to the front of the head and glued them down the rest of the way, which I evidently did not get on camera, and I had no idea until just now. I'm so sorry, guys. So now we move on to the final piece, her headband, which consists of a black double-layered bow, which you can see in the picture right here. And to achieve that, I cut out 2 thick strips of black felt, one shorter than the other, and folded the ends towards the centers, hot gluing them in place and then gluing the smaller bow on top of the bigger bow. And to finish it off, I cut out and glued on another strip around the center and then glued it onto the headband base. And now, for the last time, we bring back the pearls to add on all along the headband base. Using, guess what? More E6000 glue. Pro tip from somebody who's used this stuff for years, make sure you're using this in a ventilated area or at least a place with a ceiling fan because this stuff reeks and it will give you a headache after a while. And for the finishing touch, a clear emerald cut mirror back acrylic gem on the center of the bow. And after hot gluing the headband to Bella's head, it's finally time for the final reveal. And cue the glamour shots. And with that, we have another Rainbow High doll recreation in the bag. I hope I get commissioned for more of these in the future because these are actually really fun to try and pull off. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did, and with that, I'll see you guys later.